Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What's going on, Phillies fans? Before we dive into today's breakdown, let me ask you something. Are the Phillies actually done making moves this offseason? Or are we about to see Dave Dombrowski pull off something nobody saw coming? Stick around, because what I'm about to share might change how you see this entire roster construction heading into 2026. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're covering every single Phillies move as it happens, and trust me, you don't want to miss what could be coming next. All right, so Adolis García is officially a Philadelphia Philly. 1 year, $10 million for the veteran right fielder who brings playoff experience and that right-handed power bat the Phillies desperately needed. Now, I want to know what you think about this signing. Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'm reading every single one of them, and honestly, some of the best discussions happen down there. Whether you love this move or you're skeptical about Garcia's consistency, I want to hear from you. That's what makes this community so incredible. But here's where things get interesting. Even after bringing in Garcia, reports are saying the Phillies still have interest in bringing back Harrison Bader. Yeah, you heard that right. Despite adding another outfielder, Bader's name keeps popping up in conversations around the front office. Now, I'll be honest, when they signed Garcia, I thought that was it for outfield additions. I figured with Schwarber coming back, the reported offer out to Nick Castellanos and now Garcia in right field, there just wouldn't be room or money for Bader. But apparently the Phillies aren't ready to close that door just yet. Think about what Harrison Bader did for this team after the trade deadline last year. The guy was absolutely locked in. He hit over 300 in those final 2 months, playing elite defense in center field, and completely transformed what had been a struggling outfield into an actual strength. Before Bader arrived, the outfield was honestly a mess. Brandon Marsh was struggling to find his rhythm, the Max Kepler experiment was falling apart, and Johan Rojas just couldn't figure things out offensively. But once Bader got here, everything changed. The defense tightened up, the offense started clicking, and suddenly the outfield wasn't a liability anymore. Now, Bader is 31 years old, which means you're adding another veteran piece to an already veteran-heavy roster. But that's exactly what contending teams do. You bring in experienced guys who know what it takes to win in October. The question is whether Bader can replicate what he did in those 2 months with the Phillies. If you look at his career numbers, that stretch was kind of an outlier. He's been solid throughout his career, sure, but that level of production at the plate, that's not something he's done consistently over full seasons. And then there's the injury history. Bader has dealt with injuries throughout his career, and we saw it firsthand when he went down with that groin injury in Game 1 of the NLDS against the Dodgers. It limited him for the rest of that series, and it hurt because he was one of the few guys really producing. So the question becomes, is it worth giving Bader a multi-year deal worth more than $10 million per year when you know the injury risk is real? I'm not so sure. But if the price is right, if he comes back on something similar to what Garcia got, maybe a 1-year prove-it type deal, then I could see the argument for bringing him back. The market for right-handed hitting outfielders is thin right now. With Garcia off the board, Bader might be the best option available for teams looking for that specific profile. That could drive his price up, which might push him out of Philadelphia's range. We'll see how it plays out, but the fact that the Phillies are still interested tells me they're serious about maximizing this roster for a championship run. Imagine an outfield with Bader in center, Garcia in right, and then some kind of platoon in left between Brandon Marsh and Justin Crawford. That's a massive upgrade from what we saw for most of last season. You've got 2 everyday right-handed bats in Bader and Garcia, 2 lefties in Marsh and Crawford, plus depth guys like Weston Wilson, Otto Kemp, and Johan Rojas. That's turning a weakness into a legitimate strength. That's the kind of move that signals this team means business in 2026. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Nick Castellanos. His fate was pretty much sealed the moment the Phillies signed Adolis García. Castellanos is still owed $20 million for next season, the final year of that 5-year, $100 million deal he signed back in 2022. The Phillies have been open about wanting to trade him, and if they can't find a trade partner, they're likely just going to release him. The problem is there's no market for Castellanos. Teams aren't lining up to take on that contract, especially after how he finished last season. He fell into a platoon role, struggled offensively down the stretch. And then there was all that drama with his comments about the fans, the manager, and his role on the team. That doesn't exactly make him an attractive trade piece. Look, I get it from his perspective. He's been an everyday player his entire career, and suddenly he's coming off the bench. That's a tough adjustment. But as a veteran, you've got to handle that better. You've got to be a team player, especially when you're trying to win a championship. The Phillies have said they're willing to eat a chunk of that $20 million to move him, maybe get a low-level prospect or two in return. But honestly, I think it ends with them just releasing him. There's no fit here anymore with Garcia taking over right field. It's time to move on. Let me shift gears here because there's been one name that keeps coming up in trade rumors that I need to address. Tarik Skubal, the Detroit Tigers ace, back-to-back American League Cy Young winner, arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now. And yes, there's been some speculation about whether the Phillies could make a run at him. Let me be very clear about this. The Phillies should absolutely not trade for Tarik Skubal. I know that's probably not what you want to hear. I know it would be incredible to have Skubal in a Phillies uniform, but it makes zero sense given where this roster is right now. First off, the cost would be astronomical. We're talking about trading away multiple top prospects, maybe even major league ready talent. And then on top of that, you'd have to sign him to a massive contract extension because you're not giving up all those assets for just 1 year of Skubal. The Tigers aren't going to trade him for anything less than a haul. Then think about the rotation. You've got Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Christopher Sanchez all on multi-year deals. You've got Jesus Luzardo, who showed flashes of being really good and is heading into a contract year. You've got Andrew Painter, the top pitching prospect who's ready to contribute at the big league level. And yeah, you still have Taijuan Walker on the books for $18 million in the final year of his deal. There's literally no room for another high-priced starter, especially one that would require both a massive trade package and a long-term extension. If the Phillies are going to spend money on pitching, it makes way more sense to extend Luzardo after this season rather than trade for Skubal. Luzardo won't cost nearly as much, you keep your prospects, and you maintain flexibility. Some people think the Phillies need to add another starter, maybe bring back Ranger Suárez, but honestly, between the guys I just mentioned, there's no need. The rotation is set. Adding Skubal would be overkill and would tie up resources that could be used elsewhere. So if you had any hopes of seeing Skubal in red pinstripes, I'm sorry, but it's just not happening. As much as we'd all love it, the fit isn't there. So where does that leave the Phillies heading into 2026? They've added Garcia. They're still talking to Bader. They're trying to move Castellanos, and they've got a rotation that's pretty well set. The bullpen is still a question mark, and that's probably where we'll see more activity. But the foundation is there for another deep playoff run. This team has the talent. They've got the experience. They've got guys who've been there before and know what it takes. Now it's about putting all the pieces together and staying healthy when it matters most. The offseason isn't over yet. There are still moves to be made, decisions to be finalized, and roster spots to be figured out. I'll be here breaking down every single development, every rumor, every signing as it happens. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment letting me know what move you want to see the Phillies make next. Should they go all in on Bader? Should they focus on bullpen help? What do you think this roster needs to get over the hump and win it all? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Phillies.